Hey, this is Cobra Page from Cobra and the Lotus.
Hail and kill everybody. This is Ross the Boss from New York City.
This is Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers.
Hey, this is Cam Pipes from 3 Inches of Blood.
This is Sean Peck from Cage and Death Dealer. You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. Has there ever been a better name for a podcast? No. So turn it up.
Welcome, Great Metal Debate listeners, to another of our artist interviews. Today I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with the person who makes the sound that angels sing, Charlotte Wessels, vocalist for the Dutch symphonic metal band Delain. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for the interview.
You guys have been crisscrossing the continent the past 6 weeks, and now you're in the home stretch of the tour. How does that feel to be at that point?
You know, the whole tour went by so fast. I remember going into this and thinking, 6 weeks, that's a pretty long time. And most of our tours have been like a month, but not a lot longer. So, no, but time flew by and we've had a really good time. And yeah, I'm happy.
That's great. And this is the second time in just a year that you've gone throughout North America. How has this tour experience differed from last year's experience in support of Camelot?
Well, last year, it was a big surprise to us because when we went into our tour last year, we basically didn't know at all, whether we have a following here, whether people know our songs. So there we were really pleasantly surprised to see everybody singing along to our songs and actually realizing that, okay, so apparently people know us. And by now we know that, and it feels really like, it's difficult for European bands to get foot on the ground in America, and everybody says you got to do like at least 5 support tours before you can start headlining. So I'm really happy that we were able to come back so soon. To really, build on that and work on, being able to tour the States. Yeah.
And I know one difference, this time around you're able to do a couple of additional gigs in Detroit and Las Vegas, I believe, where you were the headlining act. Tell me a little bit about those shows.
Well, and this is really special because actually we did make a bit of a shortcut to the headlining gig. We did Detroit and Vegas, and they were both very cool. Vegas was especially interesting as we had never been in Vegas before, and we were in the middle of the action of downtown Vegas, so it was very interesting. And we even did some gambling afterwards. But I'm proud to say that I only lost exactly in the end $1. So
that's not bad. So given these two experiences and some great stuff coming up that we'll talk about, do you feel like you've been able to develop a strong fan base here in North America?
I am definitely sure that we're working on it. You can see at all the gigs I've been saying, it is so good to come back after a year. And actually, most of the times that I said that, you would get such a big part of the venue screaming because they were there last year. So I do think that you take these people with you to the next gigs, and next time they bring their friends, and next time they bring. So yeah, I do think so, and it's a good thing. This is really why you do it. You cannot make the investment of going to America and then not come back. I think it's really important to do that follow-up. And also it's very nice for us because you actually still recognize a lot of faces, and you get to make some friends and then see them again very soon. So that's cool as well.
For folks who have seen you, we all know that you all are very physical on stage. You do a lot of jumping around, banging your heads. How do you all generate that energy night after night?
I guess it kind of comes automatically. Some nights, especially on this tour, when sometimes you don't get a lot of sleep, you don't necessarily have a healthy, nutritious dinner every day. Sometimes it's harder than other times, but basically, the adrenaline of being on stage and of being in front of the people, that that always does it for me. And actually, I like it the closer the audience is. I dislike like these really big photo pits. You know, sometimes. Yeah, but even in some of these venues, they make like 3 meter photo pits. So you know, like the first row is like way far away. I really get that energy uh, from the people in the audience. So I like them to be very close. I also like nice pictures, so it's good that the barriers are there sometimes. But sometimes they're displayed so far away, you feel like I cannot even see who I'm singing for. So yeah, that's basically what does it: the adrenaline and the people in the crowd.
And so, talking about that distance from the crowd, how does the enthusiasm of or the energy of the crowd affect your performance?
A lot, a lot. And even on the bigger festivals, it's usually not such a big problem because there the crowds are usually so big that the bigger the crowd, the more they kind of feed off each other's energy. If one people start screaming, everybody starts screaming. It's one of those group dynamic things that I think is lovely to see. And it's lovely to be a part of as well. I love going to gigs myself and kind of get, immersed in that feeling. So yeah, definitely. I think as an artist, when you see that kind of very positive vibe is going on in the audience, this is wonderful, and it really helps. It really helps for the performance as well.
Great. Speaking of your art, let's talk for a moment about your latest album, The Human Contradiction. It's been out for about 7 months now. I want to congratulate you on a very strong effort. Really enjoy that album. How pleased are you with the reception of the album generally? And how do you feel the new songs are being received by the fans when you perform them live?
It's funny because this album we really wrote and recorded it in like record time. We had a tour with Within Temptation lined up, and we really wanted to have the album done before that. So we set ourselves a crazy deadline. But no, it's not that bad. At least when you're the one setting yourself a crazy deadline, it feels like you're in control of it. But still, it was hard work to get it finished. And I was actually writing my master thesis at the same time. I had the deadline for the master of the album and my master thesis in the same week. I died a little. But actually, for the first time, I didn't read a lot of reviews because we released the album and then we were on tour, and then actually we haven't stopped touring or performing ever since. So I can only say from the general response that I've gotten and that I've heard in interviews that I think everybody's really pleased. We see that people respond well to the songs that we play live. So I am really happy that we made it, and about the result. And I really enjoy playing the songs live. So yeah, it really feels like an achievement that we got it there.
And talking about how you feel about performing the songs live, I'm curious, when you write an album and it's finished, begin performing the songs, are you ever able to step back and appreciate the songs purely from a fan perspective, or do you always have the critical eye of a musician when you look back at your work?
I think we were just talking about the other day that I don't think that I ever listen to our records after they're done. So every now and then, for example, when we play a song that we haven't played in a long time, you think, oh yeah, let's Google my own song. And
So the answer is no. You're not able to step back as a
not able to step back and listen to it as a fan, definitely not. But what often happens is because when you perform them live, you're kind of, or at least for my part with the singing, you kind of find your comfort zone, and you find the nicest way to put the words, actually more than in the studio, because often in the studio it's one of the first times, like I usually go into the studio and really try around with different things, and try around different variations when we're there. The song is always done, the lyrics are always done, well, most of the time done. But it's actually only during the performances, if you really sing the songs night after night, that you start developing these habits in how you really sing it. And often when we sing a song, or when we play a song for a very long time, and I listen back to the record, I'm like, I'm doing a completely different thing now. And this is interesting sometimes. I actually listen to the songs that you do play a lot live and then see how they have changed from the first instance when you recorded them. This is how they've evolved, exactly. Yeah.
Charlotte, we have a few questions from Great Metal Debate podcast listeners. Owen from Smithville, Ontario asks, what do you find most enjoyable about being the front person for Delain?
Well, I really like the fact that as a front person you're kind of in a dynamic place on the stage, so you can kind of run around and you can, if you want to look that person in the eye, you can go there. This is I guess the thing that if I would play keys or something that will probably bother me to stay in one place. Of course, the invention of the keytar uh, made the alternative possible, but I like what I like most about being the singer is indeed the fact that you can kind of do whatever you want and be very dynamic on the stage, and also I very much like words, and I very much like lyrics, and I very much like telling stories, and so I also like the fact that that within the music that I can be the one who's allowed to tell the story. This I like a lot.
Another question comes from Elena in New York. She wants to know how your early musical training has influenced the way that you sing today.
Well, I was not formally trained in like conservatory or something like that, but I did do 2 years of jazz training, just weekly lessons at the local music school, and after that I did 2 years of classical training, same story, just weekly lessons, local music school, and I think it helped me a lot. Like first of all, the jazz lessons, which were not really jazz lessons, it's just that they called classical, and everything that was not classical they called jazz. So that's kind of the classical distinction that they still worked with. I think that kind of helped me finding, I had a very my vocal teacher was very much letting everybody bring their own songs, the things that they wanted to sing, and then finding out what it is about those songs that fit your voice and stuff. And at one point I was like 12 or 13 and I only wanted to sing Kate Bush. And then she said, if you're really into all this very high pitched stuff, then maybe you would also enjoy like singing arias and singing, operas and singing. Um, so she kind of directed me to the classical direction. And then when I was there, I had the most amazing vocal trainer. But at one point she said, why don't you quit that band of yours and join the choir? Because a lot of choirs would, really like to have you. And I kind of felt that our ambitions didn't match. So then I stopped. I mean, I've learned a lot from it, and it's good to have that background of classical training, I guess. Then I didn't have training for a very long time until the first time that I lost my voice on tour. And now yes, this was really bad. It was actually not even from improper voice use, but it was from sleeping under a air conditioning leakage. We found that out afterwards, that actually there was like a thing blowing air in the tour bus, yeah. But that made me really realize how much it basically sucks to be the factor that makes you had to cancel a show, because it was that I could not speak, so I could obviously also not sing, and we had to cancel a show. And this got to me a lot, and I thought, well, if this ever happens again, I do not want it to be because I didn't do something that I could have done. So now I'm trying to train myself, and I really, it's I don't have time for weekly lessons anymore, unfortunately, but I take these trainings every now and then, which are really intensive, and you get to learn a lot in a small time, and you actually use that then yourself in all the time of touring afterwards. So it's good.
Well, speaking of vocals, on this album, you've again used guest singers who provided some harsh and grunting vocals. I'm really a fan of that contrast between the clean and the harsh vocals. I wonder, as a songwriter, how do you determine whether using that contrast is a good fit for any particular song?
I guess that sometimes within the songwriting process you want to I mean, the voice is kind of it's a very broad instrument, you know, you can do a lot of things with it. And sometimes you want to give it that punch of aggression that you can only get from grunts or screams or. And I'm actually trying to learn to do it a little bit, even because it would be so convenient to just because usually we send over you know the track, and then insert grunts here, and I send the lyrics along. And sometimes we do these kind of whispers because they sound most like silent grunts in a way. But it would be very convenient to actually know how it feels, because you can judge so much better if you know if the lyrics actually work on the music, if you can actually do that yourself. So I think it's basically when we really feel that we need that extra punch of aggression that we cannot get with the clean vocals, that we think of of inserting grunts or screams or more harsh vocals like that.
Interesting. I've always wanted to know how you all approach that. So that's very interesting. Back to the issue of touring. Can you tell fans what your plans are for the rest of the year and into 2015, and particularly for North American fans who may have missed Delain with Sonata Arctica on this tour?
Well, we are actually when we come back, we're starting with Dutch headline shows, UK headline tour. After that, we're going on a European tour with Sabaton, and after that, in April and May 2015, we return to the US with Nightwish, which is going to be really exciting. And I know that everybody's really excited about it, and the tickets are going so fast. So get your tickets if you want to go there, because you know they might not last.
I just got my ticket for your show back here yesterday morning, and I will agree with that. Folks need to get them while they can, because that tour is going to sell out a lot of dates. And one other question about touring from a listener, Ariel from Buenos Aires, Argentina, wants to know when you might be returning to South America.
Well, we were working on returning in 2015, but 2015 got very much crowded with North American tours, and I'm still hoping that we can actually work on getting a South American tour in there. But at this point, I'm not sure when that is going to happen. But it is always on our radar. We really want to come back, because there it's the same thing, you know. It's we've performed there, and you know South American fans are really crazy and wild, and it's really a pleasure to perform there. So we just really want to come back, if even it were just for the fun of it.
Well, that's a great problem to have, trying to schedule to get to see all your fans each year. Charlotte, wrapping up today, how can fans who want to support Delain purchase music and merchandise from the band?
Well, you know, the best place to go is our website. It's www.delain.nl, because on this website you can basically find links to all the places that sell our music, and to our web shop and to Napalm's web shop. So that place will get you there.
And I encourage all of our fans to do just that. Help support this band. They are blowing up. You want to get on board with them right now, because lots of exciting things coming up. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us today. Pleasure to meet you, and looking forward to the show both tonight and seeing you guys again in May with Nightwish.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed talking to you.